Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. My name is KarQ. Today we have the April Fool's 2025 patch. I was going to make a funny little joke about April Fool's, but I got nothing in the tank, so I'm going to be straight up right now and tell you that everything is normal. By the way, the actual comparison of everything with video footage is on my main KarQ channel, where we actually show like the visuals of the funky changes, like Reinhardt doing some crazy shit, like spinning around 150%, and the charge will always last until you collide with the wall now. You can make it all the way through and all that fun stuff. That's actually on the other channel, but this is the channel where I yap and give you my thoughts on the patch. And I'm gonna overreact like a true YouTuber and go like, oh my God, and then make a face like that. So everything is normal. This patch will be from April 1st to April 15th. 13, isn't it 14 days? Is that not 14 days? Time zones, day changes, I don't know. They're probably running 15th for the, I don't know, Asia. Asia's always a day ahead, but it's actually like 14 days. The next Tuesday. Perks are gonna be disabled in that mode. I think that's good. I think there are already so many wacky changes. You don't need to overcomplicate a very fun mode. Okay, so D.Va is the small hero this time, where mech size is reduced by half. You know, health has gone down like 350. You lose 350 white health. Hitboxes will be smaller. Even your 25 HP as a baby D.Va, but you're stronger. Rate of fire is doubled. Damage reduced by half. Like, this sort of evens out, but the consistency will change. Because you're firing faster more often, that means more bullets are coming out, so there may be like a little bit more forgiveness in terms of you doing some damage. Rate of fire increased by 100% for the light gun, so you can hopefully remech faster. But listen, you're 25 HP in D.Va Pilot. Your self-destruct is funny though. Pressing interact during self-destruct, you can freeze the mech in place to get the perfect bomb spot. All in all, I don't actually think these D.Va changes are like that fun. I don't know if you guys have played this hero. She's just like super tiny, can run around with Matrix. She's just kind of like an annoying mosquito. But I think there's some other tanks that are way more fun than this one. But yeah, this one's probably a pass for me. Doomfist changes. They're actually making Doomfist like a melee hero. Removed his primary fire on his hand cannon, and then you can now quick melee instead as a replacement, but your melee speed goes up like crazy. Speed's increased, damage is increased. You now sort of lunge towards enemies when he melees. That's like basically budget Iron Fist from Marvel, where like if you punch close enough, you'll like be right on top of them. But as you punch, you will build your rocket punch meter. Charge meter no longer decays, so you can hold it forever, and the time to build up the charge is actually cut in half as well. So like honestly, make Doomfist get in a lot more and just, you know, be annoying with his melee, stick onto them a little more. Not the worst. I think I might try this one. Next, Hazard. This one might be the most boring change. Jagged wall knockback is increased by 400%, 4x longer, and they made the wall cooldown shorter. Somebody told me this also affected the leap and the slash as well. I didn't actually, this is just the note I read, and then we only had footage for this exact change. I didn't even click Hazard, but apparently it works with the leap and the slash as well. So, you know, you get that as well. That was not added in the notes. Probably won't touch this hero as well. Queen though, I'm gonna be playing some Queen today. Jagged blade can no longer be recalled to secondary fire, but instead, Junker Queen flies towards her blade while secondary fire is held. This is actually the change they made last year in the 2024 April Fool's patch, where it's the opposite. You pull yourself towards them. This one seems like fun. I'm gonna play this version of Queen. I love doing shit like that. Commanding shout no longer affects allies, but you get more over health and you get more move speed. So it's just a selfish button for you to, like, you know, blade into them and get in their face. Queen is very feast or famine. I'm playing this hero. Next, this one also seems pretty fun. They actually somehow made Mauga seem like fun for the first time ever. Where last year's April Fools, they made Mauga really, really tiny and he was like a little mosquito. But this year, he's full size, but he has half the ammo on both his guns, but he can now run during his cage fight, and if he presses the cage fight, it will follow him, so he can pick up people in his cage since it's attached to him. Kind of crazy, and I actually missed the main note up here, which is while you're airborne and you have to fire both chain guns at once, Mauga is pushed backwards in the direction he's aiming, so you can kind of like 180 fly into the air by shooting both, and then walk over, pick people up with your cage fight, attach them, fly over the ledge. You can actually turn off your cage fight while you're over the ledge, and then propel yourself back onto the point. There's I think the footage we put that was provided by Katie is like jumping off the map with it, but like I just thought about it now, like why don't you just drop, like pick them up, right? And then fly back.
Follows him so he can chase you around with it.
Like this, it's tethered.
It's kind of funky while he shoots his
here. I would just cancel overrun,
chain gun.
Press the Q again, drop them off, and then yeah, fly back up. So missed opportunity right there for very funnies, or somebody's gonna do it and post it on TikTok or Reddit, right? Orisa. Okay, this is the team up. Hanzo can now press interact while near Orisa to ride her into battle, giving Orisa extra movement speed. So this is the Groot team up, right? But apparently this is a voice line that's been in the game since forever, which I didn't know because I'm not like a big Overwatch lore head. But has this been in the game since Orisa's release in like 2017? Orisa would say, "I see you glancing at me. You wish to ride me into battle," or something, right? Something like that. So yeah, you have that team up. Javelin spin will also now pull enemies towards Orisa and suck them up like a little vortex. Interesting. All right, I'll definitely try this out if anybody wants to ride me when I play some Orisa later, or I could ride them when I play some Hanzo. Ramatra reverses the gravity of all the enemies inside for Vortex. That's the only change. That one seems a little boring. Could be fun, but also like pulling them down off the map is kind of funny because like, you know, you can suck them into like the Ilios well, but now they just kind of float in the sky, which maybe you can set it up with Widowmaker. I don't know. All right, Reinhardt. This change is actually a little bit more underrated, even though it's kind of short. Charge cooldown reduced from 7 to 3.5 seconds. Turn speed increased by 150%, and charge lasts until you collide with a wall. I saw a clip on Reddit, which was really funny, where the person was on Antarctica, you know, the one with a little pillar in the middle, the base on the inside map, and they kept making circles with Reinhardt because it's infinite charge until they collide, and you have just enough turn speed to 180. It can probably even work on the Oasis, not the city center, but like the other one on Oasis as well, with a little bridge on top, and then you have a little pillar on the bottom. You just spin on and on and on and on like Flow Rida. Spin me right round, baby. This one seems pretty fun for the Ryan players. I'd probably just get dizzy, so I won't do this. Roadhog. This one is interesting. It now throws 3 hooks at once. When I first read this patch note, I thought it would be, you know, the hooks would fan out, but apparently it's just all 3 hooks kind of in the same hitbox. Just makes it a little bit more forgiving, so it helps with the consistency, I suppose. Maybe you can hook 3 different people on top of each other. That's a Mythbuster I'll have to test. If anybody here has played Roadhog recently, let me know if like you have a clump of 3 enemies, can you pick all 3 up? Maybe, probably, in theory. Sigma's Kinetic Grasp now deflects projectiles instead of absorbing them, so this is like Genji, and he now also flies for free during it, so you can also use it to reposition. That's kind of cool. Developer comment for Winston is Winston Slam. When you press crouch, do a body slam and deal more damage when coming down during a jump pack. So if you do this and you press it, Winston will say Winston every time he jump packs in. In my video, I usually show off the ultimate voice line, but you know, when Winston primals, he just goes so then all I did was, or not all, Koji recorded this. I just noticed every time he jump packed, he just went Winston. For Winston's jump pack, he can now press crouch mid-air to do a body slam and deal more damage while coming down from the jump pack.
Look at me go, Winston. Winston. Winston.
They should have, the dev comment should have actually cut out the slam and just said Winston. Okay, Wrecking Ball. Apparently Wrecking Ball is disabled right now because I think there's a bug, but he was basically the thingy that like where the ball kind of like rolls forever and expands over time every time they collide with something. So basically his base size is reduced in half, but he now slowly gains over health based on the size, or damaging enemies during the roll will increase the size slowly. And then obviously the pile driver damage area effect scales based on the Wrecking Ball's size. They actually disabled him. He would just be unkillable and still be able to contest the point. Oh, that's why they disabled him? I thought he was bugged. They probably should have just added a cap to it. That's all, size cap. Oh, he could reach 0 HP and not die. Oh, it must have been like his overhealth bug then. All right, next. For Zarya, the particle cannon primary fire beam now ricochets off of enemies in the environment. So just like, you know, portal lasers where just pew, pew, pew. You just have to, you can just make a bunch of patterns with your laser. I don't know if I like this one that much. I probably won't play Zarya. All right, moving on to the damage heroes. We have Bob, Coach Gun, increase knockback on enemy heroes and briefly reduce their air control. This is basically a stun now. And then for Bob, he no longer shoots, but Bob will repeatedly dash towards the nearest enemy hero and attempt to knock them up in the air. Ultimate cost is reduced by 70%. So this is basically a cooldown now because the cost is way cheaper. It's probably on like a, how long? Like every 20, 15 seconds, you could probably build it back up, which is kind of nice. And he'll basically be a CC bot. It actually feels like this might be one of the strongest changes for the April Fool's patch. This guy always knocking people up sounds very annoying to play against. And then by the time you sleep and get rid of the Bob, she'll build another one. A36 Tactical Grenade. Wow, so this one's a fun Bastion change with both the grenade and his ultimate spawn an explosive training bot. That seems kind of funky. Ply was saying Bob is ass. Was he? Is he doing the same? I was assuming he's doing the same damage though, or how much damage does he do every time he dashes and picks them up? I think for casual, this is probably more annoying to play against than anything else, to be honest with you. Maybe higher levels, what Apply is used to, it's like, it would be like ass, but I feel like just always just randomly being CC just sounds annoying. Frustrating to play against. Maybe not strong, but frustrating. But again, it depends how often it comes up. We'll find out in just a moment when we play. Cassidy, Peacekeeper, that's the name of his weapon. Both his primary and his secondary, which is Fan the Hammer, both ricochet 3 times and they deal increased damage. All right, interesting. Echo reverses the Echo stuff. Tri-shot deals, shoots sticky bombs shoot tri-shots. Feels kind of reverse, but you're always flying now, so you're a flying hero, and focusing beam does way more, or probably the 4x damage to people above half health instead of below half health. So Echo is basically just complete reverse. So it's just a funky, wacky change. Not like the rest of them aren't funky or wacky, but like I feel like some of the other ones you can like play around. It feels like a perk or a buff to the ability, like Peacekeeper here, but then Echo just feels like it would just kill all your muscle memory. Genji once again man can occasionally heal himself when requesting healing, but don't abuse this. You've been warned. So basically, when you press the X button on keyboard, which is I need healing, he'll self-heal. But if you spam it too much, you think you deal 50 damage to yourself or something. So cost versus reward, I guess, is the takeaway. But this seems kind of boring. Like, all it is a heal button or a self-damage. This is probably just not fun for Genji players. Hanzo, fully charged arrows ricochet twice. So that's his primary fire. So that'll ricochet twice. Storm arrows ricochet 5 times. Wall climbing, you can press reload to attach yourself onto the wall. So you stick onto the wall. Okay. And then this is the team up with Orisa they're talking about. Samurai Kishu, press interact while near Orisa to ride her into battle. While riding, gain 25% damage reduction. While riding, Orisa controls Hanzo's movement and feel 20% cooler, and stick onto the wall, and then yeah, you can AFK and just wait for people to show up. Like your Venom and Spider-Man, you know when they like stand right above the break or the choke, then they drop and dive onto them. Only difference is you can't really dive as Hanzo. Junkrat's concussive mine can now place 5 mines up to once, but all the damage is reduced by half. So this actually doesn't do that much damage. It's only 60 damage, I think, for a close range mine. But you can, set up 300 damage waiting in one spot, which is kind of fun. Having the cooldown reduced and getting the charges, it's actually less about the damage and more about self-mobility more than anything. The fact that you're always flying with 5 mines, actually, this one seems like a fun change. I wish all April Fool's changes were kind of like this versus stuff like Genji. This is more of a meme, but this just seems boring. Nothing's really changed in this kit. But this is the funky shit that like we're talking about, where Junkrat can make some crazy plays. 5 mines, you could probably cross each section of the map in like with all 5 cooldowns. Riptire is also reversed right now, where he becomes invisible and untargetable while using Riptire, but he'll always teleport to the Riptire when it explodes, but Junkrat will die if the Riptire is destroyed. So if there's a Riptire and somebody shoots it, you're dead. But like, that's the chaos that comes with this mode. So Junkrat change, I like it. Cryo Freeze for Mei now creates a miniature blizzard. So when you're an ice cube, it's basically that perk right now active in the game where when you ice cube, there's just an AoE. The only difference is now you can move with it. So you're a walking blizzard while you're 4 seconds invulnerable. That's chaotic. And speaking about chaotic, Moira's in the DPS category, guys. I like the dev comments here. Fixed a bug where Moira was classified as a support hero and removed any unintended healing. Thank you for your patience as we resolve the 7-year-old issue. I was about to say, isn't it 8 years since the game came out? I guess Moira came out 2016 November or 2017 November. That has prevented Moira mains from reaching their ultimate damage potential. So they move Moira to damage roll, has damage passive, damage roll passive, no longer has support roll passive. Primary fire no longer heals and instead does damage. So instead of healing with like, peeing on people with the big like yellow stream, you're now you just have internal bleeding and you're just peeing on them with purple shit. You can no longer heal orb, which is good, and coalescence actually only deals damage. This is actually a nerf, by the way, because you have double utility on biotic orb. Well, coalescence, you have double utility if you pierce your teammates and the enemies, but now it's 0 healing whatsoever. But peeing on people might be kind of funky. I don't actually know what the damage is, so we'll have to see if that's fun. Farah, rocket launcher, direct hits deal increased damage to airborne targets. I actually don't know how much more on a direct it is, but it should reward you if they're launched into the air. Now, how do you get them into the air? Well, jet dash and jump jet, they will pull nearby enemies along with Farah, and jump jet will also pull enemies. So if you jump dash or jump jet and jet dash near them, they literally get boinged into the air. Then you can set yourself up for some air shots for some more damage. This one seems like a fun change. Reaper, this one's kind of crazy. Hellfire shotguns. He can no longer reload, but every time he runs out of ammo, he drops the shotguns on the ground when empty. Drop shotguns must be picked up to restore ammo. You get faster movement speed when out of ammo. Picking up shotguns increases attack speed, and it says, note, it's hard to melee without your shotgun. So basically, you can't melee anymore. When you run out of ammo, you drop 2 shotguns, but each shotgun only heals 4 ammo, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. He can no longer reload and will instead drop his shotguns on the ground when they're empty. So what you have to do is that your drop shotguns must be picked up. Yeah, it's 4 ammo. It's cut off here, but each shotgun is half. Sojourn, this one's wild. Railgun max charge is 300%, which means you can do, what's the math on this? Isn't it like didn't they change the scaling so the railgun does only 100 damage to body, 150 headshot? So now it does 450 headshot if it's max charge 300. You'll deal more damage with the SMG portion, that's the secondary fire, when you're sitting above 100 charge, so you can sit on 300 charge. And when you do fire your rail, when it's above 100% charge, you will also knock yourself back at the same time, so you can push back. Is this secondary fire or primary fire that knocks you back? I think the footage that I saw is without your minimum charge is actually now 300%. Wow, that's a typo. The railgun secondary. So right there, I just got booped back. So secondary fire is the railgun secondary fire deals increased damage This is SMG, right?
At
Secondary
above
fire.
100% charge. As
I reversed my buttons on Sojourn, so I actually don't even know what secondary fire is anymore by
and
default.
the railgun secondary fire will also knock back Sojourn.
Or secondary fire would be the thing. Yeah, this is the knockback, right? Well, wouldn't I guess this patch note dealing increased damage at 100% charge is a given because it's scaled anyways. If your max charge is this, obviously. So maybe not the SMG portion. My bad. Secondary fire is the rail shot itself. Soldier, I probably would never click Soldier ever because he can no longer see allied or enemy health bars, including his own. Your passive healing starts faster and you run faster. That's it. This is such a meme change. Just don't even click Soldier in this mode. Haha, it's funny, but like, why would you ever play him if you're like, unless you're just really goofing off? You have no UI. You can't see your HP.
Because he can no longer...
You can't see the enemy's HP. So you're just playing in blind, old and blind. Hacking enemies grants a stacking buff with a maximum of 10 of movement speed and magazine size. Stacks are lost upon death. I think every time you hack somebody, the stack is 5 ammo. I don't know how much movement speed, but a maximum of 10 means 50 extra ammo for your base 60 ammo. So you can have 110 ammo if you're 10 stacks and you haven't died yet, which is kind of cool. I like heroes like this, kind of a snowball machine here. For Symmetra's photon projector, the primary fire, the beam, the laser now deals damage based on their max health, so percentage based, so I assume it'll do more on max health. The higher the health is, excuse me, so Wrecking Ball, Roadhog, all those people will get owned. Secondary fire charge time is reduced, that's the orb. Sentry turrets, turret health increased by 50%, so it doesn't die as quickly. You have shorter cooldown to get more sentries. Projectile speeds increase, so you can launch them onto the wall a little quicker, and the fun part is they can now stick to allies, so you can set it up by like throwing a bunch of Symmetra turrets, maybe on your Wrecking Ball if he's not disabled, and like roll into them, and if they don't shoot him, they will probably die. What also seems kind of strong is, I'm just thinking about this right now, is playing maybe with like a Reinhardt, because obviously Ball is banned or disabled because of his bug. Sticking a Reinhardt on the inside part of him, and while he walks up with his shield, I think he could just walk and like move the lasers with them, because I think it sticks on any part of your body, right? So Torbjorn, turret can now be overhealed by Forge Hammer, so if you smack it a few times, when you overheal it, it'll gain increased size, damage, and health. This one's a little boring of a change. Probably wouldn't pick Torbjorn. Blinking while with Tracer, while crouch collides with enemies. I have to check if you can like counter charge Rhines and stuff. Maybe this is one way to stop the Rhine from infinitely charging. We can check this later. Colliding with enemies will deal damage and knock them back, but this one's a little funky. I think last year's Tracer's change was worse though, because it was like you'd randomly get a buff or you'd randomly die or something, and like the music would change when you recalled. Venture's burrow can now fly while burrowed. So are you really underground anymore when you fly? Probably not. You just have higher mobility on Venture, and then the emerge does more damage. And then you have the best voice line that Valeria says, which is like Bingus Schmungus, or some shit like that. Final DPS change, grappling hook can now hit enemy heroes, dealing damage and granting Widowmaker overhealth, because you're in their face, so you get HP. And then your next melee after hitting them with the grapple will deal, I think, 120 damage. So you're basically Black Widow from Marvel Rivals, because I know Black Widow has the hook into them, then you kick them back, and then you shoot them and stuff. It's similar, but not really. Now, moving on to the supports, I don't know if I want to play Ana with this. My magazine size with Biotic Rifle goes from 15 to 1. I think the bullet points forgot to go down here. Reload speed increased by 25% to make up for the fact that you have 1 bullet. Damage and healing increased from 75 to 150. So you get double the shots, and then you account for the reload. I mean, I guess if you make the shots count, it's pretty damn lethal, because you shoot them, quick reload, shoot them again, it's 300 damage. Technically, your DPS would go up if you hit the back-to-back, even when you include the reload speed. I guess if you sit in a Kiriko's Kitsune Rush for faster reload, it would be kind of crazy. Baptiste, press crouch while airborne in his exo boots to stomp on enemies, the Goomba Stomp. Apparently, this doesn't even do that much damage. Just a little bit of an AoE of damage, but I feel like if you step on their head, they don't actually get pressed down, though, unfortunately. If you sleep dart people with squishies, I guess so, because it does more damage. So I guess maybe Ana is better than I give her credit for. Next, Brig is Captain America. Mace to the face was working so well, so Brig thought she'd use her shield first. So you can no longer bash, so you lose the mobility, but you get a shield throw instead. Toss Brig's shield, which will stun and bounce between enemies, which means it's a multi-stun. You just lose your mobility. During rally, the shield throw can hit more enemies, so AoE stun for Brig. Brig mains might kind of cook with this one. Illari is the reverse. Primary fire now heals allies and does not deal damage, but the secondary fire, the healing beam, does not heal allies and instead does damage. So you have to sit here playing, you play Zarya as Illari. You sit there with your beam up, and you try to pierce him down. Juno, I probably will not try. A little boring. The quick melee has increased knockback, so it's kind of like Snap Kick on Zen, or kind of like the Sigma perk where he punches and they float up a little bit. Orbital Ray, reverse reverses gravity on all allies and enemies inside. This is basically Ramatra's vortex, but like for everybody. It's really slow though. It's like, woo, you start floating in the air if you sit in the orbital ray, but it's very easy to just step out of it. A little more boring to me personally, so this is a skip for me. Kiriko, Swift Step now grants Kiriko overhealth and increased attack speed, but she can no longer choose her target. So when you see someone to Swift Step, it picks a different person. You may go to that right target or you may not. The increased attack speed, I think when you do it, it kind of feels like Kitsune Rush. You just get this little like, you get that little sound and that little like white wisp on your UI, and you're just gonna start firing your kunais as if you were in Kitsune every time you Swift Step, but you just can't control it. Lifeweaver, I'm gonna try this one. This one seems fun. You get Thorn Volley, where projectiles now home in on the enemies. Your projectiles per shot are reduced from 2 to 1. Your rate of fire is reduced by 35%, but the projectile speed itself is faster by 70%. When enough of the projectiles hit an enemy, they explode for 160. That is a big burst of damage. This is straight up a Needler from Halo, which I'm excited to try later. This one's fun. Lucio actually seems really fun too, where the wall ride gives increased movement, reload, and attack speed while wall riding. Buffs from the wall ride will persist for several seconds after touching the ground, so you get a little bit of forgiveness. So as long as you're wall riding non-stop, this will be really fun. I think Frogger's gonna have a great time playing this right now. Mercy is also really fun too, chat. Patch notes don't do it justice. Caduceus Blaster now fires a random projectile. When you read this, there's nothing else. But this is random projectiles from other heroes. So when you hold your blaster as Mercy, as you're flying in the air with Guardian Angel, you're gonna be shooting out fire strikes, Junkrat grenades, Moira orbs, just shit comes out of your blaster. This is really fun. Mercy's the most fun you had so far? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so do not be fooled. This shit's crazy. This shit's crazy. Random meteors. I think like a Sigma rock can come out. I'm trying this one. The Zenyatta one, meh. Orb of Destruction now fires. His orbs just fire googly eyes. This is a bit of a meme change. Damage reduced, attack speed goes up. Pass. When we log in just a moment, I'm hitting the Mercy, I'm hitting the Lucio, hitting the Weaver, hitting the Illari, maybe some Ana, maybe some Symmetra, some Sombra, some Soj, some Reaper. A couple of good changes. Half of them are good, the other half are too memey for me, but let's have some fun. That's the patch note. Log in and have a good time. I actually think Overwatch does a great job with their April Fool's mode. A lot of games do April Fool's modes. I think like Minecraft does it as well. Some other ones as well, but like they actually put some effort into it, because like every hero getting a change is probably not easy in terms of like ideating and implementing and stuff, but it's serious enough that I think they see the numbers that every year a lot of people play this mode. So like they even do alt voice line specifically for it. Gotta give them credit where credit's due. That's it for the video. Let's get it.